Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. And in today's video, we shall learn about the concept of cholesterol. See, cholesterol is a word which is framed from the Greek notes, wherein in Greek, the word chole, in the sense, it is nothing but bile. Okay, and steros, in the sense, solid material. So cholesterol is a solid material which will be showing the properties or which is having capability to produce the bile acids. That is a simple meaning based on the word cholesterol. And if you come to the concept of cholesterol, cholesterol is actually an alcohol material, and it is a most common type of steroidal material which is present in the body. And this cholesterol material is very softer in nature, and it is found among the lipid material, means it's a fatty material, and it will be produced by the liver. The cholesterolic material will be produced by the liver, and this will enter into the bloodstream and will travel throughout the body, and it will go to the cells wherever it is necessary. And the cholesterolic material is very important in the field of biological system, because the cholesterol is a very needy material for performing many functions in the human body. And now we shall see what are the main functions that cholesterol will perform in the body. If you come to the important functions of the cholesterol, cholesterol is a very important material, and this cholesterol is very helpful in developing the cell wall of a cell material, as well as in maintaining the optimum structure of the cell wall. Cholesterol plays a very important role. And when the human body exposes to various temperatures, presence of cholesterol will help the cells to overcome the change in the temperature, so that the cell maintenance as well as the functioning of the cells will get maintained though the temperature changes is occurring. As well, the nerve cells will use the cholesterol material as an insulation, and that helps in the sudden changes in the body when the body exposed to the changes. And the cholesterolic material is a very important one, because we know that if any function has to be initiated in the body, there should be a requirement of hormones. And cholesterol is one such material which helps in the production of very important type of hormones, strictly speaking the sex hormones, such as testosterone, which is produced from the testicles of the male body, and progesterone and estrogens, which will be produced in the ovaries of the female body. So that the cholesterol is very important material that must and should be present in the body so as to produce the very needy hormones. As well, in regular life, in daily life, we used to take more amount of or the sufficient amount of food material, and in order to get the energy from that food, the food is supposed to be digested. It has to be converted into glucose molecules. In order to undergo digestion, the food material what we will take needs some juices, and among that bile juice is very important one, and the bile juice will be produced from the liver, and the cholesterol will help the liver so as to produce the bile acids into the digestive system, so that it is very easier to digest the fat material what we consume in the regular diet. And cholesterol is a very important material for the human body, because when we expose to the sunlight, in presence of sunlight, cholesterol acts as a precursor material, and that helps in synthesizing vitamin D. So that in this way, cholesterolic material performs a various number of functions in the human body. If you come to the nature of the cholesterol material, the cholesterol material are oily in nature, and it a fatty compound. That means it mainly composed of lipids. Okay, and since it is an oily material, the cholesterolic material won't dissolve or won't mix in any water-based material such as blood. Since blood is a water-based liquid, this cholesterol material won't mix or won't dissolve in blood material. So that in order to carry these cholesterol materials into the cells as well as from the cells into various parts of the body, we need some carriers. The cholesterolic material needs some carriers, and in the body, in order to carry the cholesterol components from one part of the body to various part of the body, one kind of proteins will be used, and the components that acts as a carrier for this cholesterolic materials are called as lipoproteins. And since lipoproteins consisting of much amount of cholesterolic material, so lipoproteins are indirectly considered as cholesterols. But in actual sense, lipoproteins are of mainly two types. And one is called LDL. In the sense, it is low density lipoprotein. The first type of lipoprotein is LDL, called as low density lipoprotein. And obviously the second type of lipoprotein is HDL, which is called high density lipoprotein. HDL is high density lipoprotein. And now we shall discuss about both the type of lipoproteins, that is low density lipoprotein and high density. Now first we shall consider about low density lipoprotein. Low density lipoprotein, and simply the low density lipoprotein is abbreviated as LDL. And since we are telling this as a low density lipoprotein, one question will come to our mind: what is the density range of this low density lipoprotein? The density of this low density lipoprotein will be ranging between 1.019 grams per ml to 1.063 grams per ml. This is the density range of the low density lipoprotein. And the molecules of this low density lipoprotein will be having a size, that is diameter, will be ranging between 18 nanometer to 28 nanometers. This is the size range of this low density lipoprotein. And this low density lipoproteins consisting of, usually the lipoproteins consisting of mainly cholesterol will be there, phospholipids will be there, triglycerides will be there, and some protein part will be there, since we are calling this as a protein. But if you come to the case of low density lipoprotein, this low density lipoprotein will be consisting of 50% of cholesterol and 25% of protein material and 21% of phospholipid and approximately 8% of triglycerides, nothing but lipids. Triglycerides. This is the composition of low density lipoprotein. How you can observe, here we are having 50% of cholesterol, and since this is having very high percent of cholesterol, this low density lipoprotein will enter into the bloodstream, and that will be this low density lipoprotein will carry the cholesterolic content throughout the body, and wherever it is required, it will drop the cholesterol and makes the required function to carry out. But in actual sense, this low density lipoprotein, since it is having a high percentage of cholesterol, when it is traveling through the bloodstream, when it is traveling through the bloodstream, if it meets any damaged cells, if it observed with any damaged cells, then this low density lipoprotein will get accumulate at the damaged cell and releases the more amount of cholesterol that what the low density lipoprotein molecule is having. And the released cholesterolic content will start accumulating at the places of the damaged cells, and that creates more amount of plaque in the vessel, especially the blood vessel through which the cholesterolic content, the low density lipoprotein is traveling. And that creation of the plaque in the blood vessel will increases as time proceeds, and due to increase in the plaque content in the blood vessel goes on becoming narrow, means the blood vessel will get shrinks. And because of this thing, if more, the flow of the blood will get disturbed, the flow rate of the blood through the blood vessel will get disturbed, and because of this disturbance there occurs some disturbance in the percentage of blood pumping to the whole and soul body, to the various parts of the body. And if the plaque content increases, that may blocks the artery, strictly speaking the coronary artery of the heart. And if the coronary artery of the heart is blocked due to creation of the plaque, there occurs clotting of the blood, and that may obviously leads to the coronary artery disease. That's nothing but heart attack. And that we shall see how these things will happen because of low density lipoprotein. In case of LDL, there is more cholesterol and less triglyceride content. When it enters into the bloodstream through the blood vessel, it can pass all over the body through the blood vessel, and when it is entering into the heart, especially at the part of arteries, if there occurs damaged walls of the cell, there the low density lipoprotein starts accumulating the cholesterol in the form of plaque. And if the plaque content start increasing in the blood vessel, that makes the blood vessel shrinken. That means the blood vessel will become more narrow, and that causes hardening of the blood vessel, and that condition of hardening of the blood vessel is called atherosclerosis. That causes blocked coronary artery in the heart, and that is coronary artery diseases. At last, this finally leads to heart attack. And if the plaque content increases more in the artery, supply of blood to the brain will decreases, and that causes strokes in the mind. That's why LDL is called bad cholesterol. Now, we shall go with the second type of lipoprotein, that is high density lipoprotein, which is simply abbreviated as HDL. We said in case of low density lipoprotein, the low density lipoprotein will transport the fat molecules such as phospholipids, cholesterol and triglycerides throughout the body. But if you come to the case of high density lipoprotein, this high density lipoprotein will collect the fat molecules such as phospholipids, cholesterol, triglycerides from the cells as well as from the various parts of the body, and this high density lipoprotein will transport the collected fat molecules such as phospholipids, cholesterol, triglycerides into the liver. We said the low density lipoprotein will carry the cholesterolic material, phospholipids to the various parts of the body from the liver, but this high density lipoprotein will collect the excess of cholesterol, phospholipids and triglycerides from the various parts of the body and transport the same to the liver. So hope you understood the difference between low density lipoprotein and high density lipoprotein. And once the high density lipoprotein transport all these fat molecules into the liver, there in liver the collected materials will get breakdown and it will be utilized for the required things. And if you come to the total since we are telling this as a high density lipoprotein, now we shall see what is the density of this high density lipoprotein. Since the name itself telling you it is having higher density compared to LDL, the density of HDL, that is high density lipoprotein, will be greater than 1.063 gram per ml. That is the density value of high density lipoprotein. And if you come to the size variation of this high density lipoprotein, the diameter of the high density lipoprotein will be ranging between 5 nanometer to 15 nanometers. This is the diameter range of high density lipoprotein. And if you come to a case of a very young and healthy individual, each molecule of high density lipoprotein will be having the composition of around 30% of protein will be there, around 30% of cholesterol will be there, and around 29% of phospholipid will be there, and roughly around 4% of sorry, this is small correction, this will be having 33% of protein, 30% of cholesterol, 29% of phosphate, and 4% of triglyceride. This is the composition of a high density lipoprotein in a very young and a healthy individual. And now we shall see how this high density lipoprotein will collect the cholesterol material from the cells as well as from the vessels, and how this will be helpful in maintaining the cholesterolic content in the body. In case of high density lipoprotein, that is HDL, compared to LDL, in HDL the cholesterol content is less and more triglycerides will be there. And when it is entered into the bloodstream, it passes through the blood vessel and it start receiving excess of cholesterol which is present in the blood vessel, and thereby decreases the plaque content, and that makes the blood vessel to come for the normal size. Thereby the received cholesterol will passes into the liver and there it get break down. That's why HDL is called good cholesterol. In a human body, the quantity of cholesterol should be in optimum level. If the cholesterol level increases a particular range, then that is also problematic to the human body. And if the cholesterolic content decreases to the optimum level, that is also problematic to the human body. And now we shall see what is the exact or desirable amount of cholesterol that's supposed to be there in a human body in order to carry the body functions in an optimum way. In a normal and young human body, if the cholesterolic content, if the total cholesterol of the body, if the total cholesterol of the body is less than 200 milligrams per deciliters to 160 milligrams per deciliter. If the total cholesterol of the body is less than 200 milligrams per deciliter to 160 milligrams per deciliter, this is the optimum level of the cholesterol, that is called as desirable cholesterol content. And if the total cholesterol of the body, if the total cholesterol of the body is decreased furthermore, that means less than if it is less than 160 milligrams per deciliter, then that is the lesser range of the cholesterol content from the desirable quantity, and that state of a body, that stage is called as hypocholesterolemia. Hypocholesterolemia. if the total cholesterol of the body becomes less than 160 milligrams per deciliter, that condition is called as hypocholesterolemia. And if the total cholesterol of the body, if the total cholesterol of the body is 200 milligrams per deciliter to 240 milligrams per deciliter, then that is called borderline high cholesterol content. It's not completely high, that reaches to the borderline level. If it is the total cholesterol content of the body is between 200 to 240 milligrams per deciliter. Suppose if the total cholesterol content of the body, if it is greater than 240 milligrams per deciliter, then that condition is called hypercholesterolemia. This hypercholesterolemia is a very dangerous stage for a human being that leads to obesity, and that may leads to many diseases. That obviously causes the heart attacks. And if a human suffers with hypercholesterolemia, then that leads to many diseases, and mainly it is a heart attack, obesity, as well. The human body will prone to get more diseases. So it is better to maintain the cholesterol level in the body to the optimum desirable level. The symptoms of hypercholesterolemia in a human body can be easily notified just by observing the accumulation of cholesterol at the various parts, such as if the cholesterol deposit occurs in the eye, then it is called corneal arcus. And if the cholesterol deposit occurs in a human body at the other parts, such as the tendons, elbows, at the knees, then it is called xanthomas. Then if the cholesterol deposit occurs around the eyelids of a human body, then we call that condition of a human body as xanthalamus. And in this way we can notify the hypercholesterolemia.